Hello friends, welcome back to English Classes Online. My name is Benjamin. Today's video is on the ABCs of West African Senior School Certificate Examination English Part 3, 2021 Prep or Preparation if you like. Our focus is on the West African Senior School Certificate Examination 2020 Objective Test Section 3. And we are looking at the ABCs, talking about the grammatical principles. A, sentence interpretation. B, idioms and idiomatic expressions. C, collocation. These are grammatical principles that we shall be examining, especially the idioms and idiomatic expressions, which actually form the major bulk of the questions when it comes to sentence interpretation. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Click on the bell icon as well, so that whenever a new video is uploaded on this channel, you will be instantly notified. Right away. Now, we shall be looking at the West African Senior School Certificate Examination of June 2020 English Language Objective Test Questions, Section 3. But before we actually start solving the questions, I will want us to look at how to interpret sentence meanings, because that is exactly what Section 3 is all about. Now, most sentences that students are asked to find the appropriate interpretation or asked to interpret contain idiomatic expressions. We can figure out the meaning of an idiom by examining the elements that make up the idiom and the mental pictures they create in our minds. This is because an idiom is essentially a group of words whose meaning is different from the individual meanings of the words that make up the group. All right, so to figure out the meaning, we need some literary devices, which are as follows. Number 1, metaphors. 2, imagery or images. 3, symbolism. And 4, contextualization. We shall be looking at how we can use these literary devices in decoding or figuring out the meanings of idiomatic expressions contained in sentences. Let's begin with metaphors. A metaphor directly refers to one thing by mentioning another. A metaphor states that one thing is another thing. For example, Jack is the black sheep of the family. This means that Jack is a disgrace, a failure, or an embarrassment to the family. But then you can see the black sheep of the family. Now, another example of metaphor is when you say Udo is a snake in the grass. So you are talking about someone who cannot be trusted. It doesn't mean that Udo is actually a snake in the grass, literally. It simply gives you the meaning that Udo is someone who cannot be trusted. And how do you figure out the meaning? You just, look at the kind of picture that expression creates in your mind. If a snake is in the grass, it's an unpredictable situation. You don't know what the snake is capable of doing. Is it going to run away? If you are going after it, is it going to bite you? It's something you cannot really figure out or predict easily. Then imagery or images. Imagery is the use of words to describe ideas or actions. An image is the mental picture you have about what has been said, heard, seen, touched, or smelled. For example, Udeme's plans amount to building castles in the air. Here, building castles in the air is used to refer to an unrealizable plan. But then when you say that someone is building castles in the air, you have a picture, a mental picture of someone trying to do the impossible, all right? Because when you build castles in the air, of course, where do you lay the foundation, all right? And that actually gives you a picture of what is being referred to. Now, a second example is Lucy dropped the bombshell at last. She was HIV positive. Now, to drop the bombshell is not really about a physical bomb. It's an unexpected piece of news, all right? You were not expecting to hear that Lucy was HIV positive, but all of a sudden, she revealed or exposed that fact, and that hits you with so much surprise because you had never expected it. So to drum the bombshell is to give an unexpected piece of news. The next literary device that can help us to figure out the meaning of an idiom or idiomatic expression is symbolism. From the word symbol, symbolism is derived. Symbolism is the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities. Certain things are symbols for certain ideas or qualities. Examples are as follows. WASSCE went through fire in the man's house. So here, fire is a symbol for suffering, a symbol of suffering. It means she suffered or experienced difficulties in the man's house. Or if you say the government has offered an olive branch to the opposition, an olive branch is a symbol of peace. When you raise or offer an olive branch, it means you are suing for peace. So it means they have taken steps to end the conflict or make peace. There are other examples of symbols such as a crown. A crown is a symbol of royalty. A cross is a symbol of suffering. A serpent is a symbol of evil or deceit. A rose is a symbol of beauty, and so on and so forth. So there are symbols that actually stand for certain things. So we can decode the certain idioms by looking at the symbols that are contained therein. Now, the last but not the least, literary device, or grammatical, if you like, is contextualization. You use the contextualization approach to figure out what the unfamiliar word means. To contextualize is to consider something together with the situation, events, or information related to it, rather than considering it alone. When considering the context of a word, we are considering the words that come before and after it, which help us to understand what it means. So contextualization is derived from the word context, and context is the linguistic environment within which a word has been used. All right, so for example, if I say that Musa is a man, all right, the context of that use gives us the meaning as, when we are just talking about a male adult human being. But if I say that Musa has been asked to man the engine room, of course, the context the context has changed. The way in which I have used the word man has changed. The context now gives us the meaning. He has been asked to man the engine room. So the engine room, gives us the context, and then the preposition to man, the engine room. You see, when we examine the meaning of man in the light of the preposition to and in the light of the engine room, then it gives us a different meaning, and then we can say that the meaning is that Musa has been asked to control the engine room or to take charge of the engine room. All right, so that is exactly what contextualization as a literary device can be used to do. Now, having looked at these devices, now let's go back and look at the questions and try to solve them using the literary devices and also using the additional grammatical principle of collocation. Of course, collocation is, a group of two or more words that are used together in a sentence, that tend to go together. All right, so it is not far from the meaning of the context we had earlier talked about. Because when we talked about the context, we talked about the use of words in a particular way. Now, just as the context is, the use of words, together with other words. When we use words together in a sentence, we create meaning, and that's what collocation does. All right, we shall be looking at this as we attempt these questions. Now, this is section 3 of the English language objective test questions, and we are dealing with sentence interpretation. Now, the instruction is this: after each of the following sentences, a list of possible interpretations is given. Choose the interpretation that is most appropriate for each sentence. Now, question 21. My grandmother once told me that old habits die hard. This means that old habits are A, easily corrected, B, difficult to change, C, short-lived, D, forever changing. Now, when we look at this, we should be able to figure out the meaning of we should be able to pick the appropriate option. How do we do that? We examine them one by one, Now, what are we looking at? The idiomatic expression here is, that old habits die hard. Now, what picture does it create in your mind if something die hard? Now, the word die suggests that you want to kill something, and hard means that it is difficult to kill. When you look at habits, habits, when habits are bad, you want to stop the habit, and then if they die hard, that gives you the impression that you want to kill something but is hard to kill. Now, with this in mind, let's look at the options. A, easily corrected, certainly not, because if it's easily corrected, then there will be nothing like hard about it. Then B, difficult to change. That actually is the correct thing. Difficult to change. C, short-lived. If it is short-lived, it means it can easily you can easily do away with it, or time will just make it pass by. But when it dies hard, it is there no matter what you do. Then D, forever changing, also is not the meaning. So the actual option, the correct option, is difficult to change. All right. Then question 22, if you ask him to sing, he will do it at the drop of a hat. You see how people easily, this also creates a kind of image in your heart, in your mind. At the drop of a hat. A hat is something people will put on their head, and if you can easily drop your hat. It is something you can do immediately, So the actual meaning of the drop of a hat is something you do immediately without any hesitation at all. So we look at the meaning. This means that he will sing joyfully. No, that's not the meaning. Melodiously, that's not the meaning. Immediately, that's the meaning. D, sluggishly, no. Immediately, that's the correct meaning. So something you do at the drop of a hat is something you do immediately without any hesitation at all. Question number 23. The man has lost a lot and he only keeps up appearances by driving a big car. All right, this means that the man A intends to work harder. No, when you keep up appearances, it means that you want to give the impression that all is well, that there's really nothing wrong. So there's a kind of pretense involved in that when you keep up appearances. And then we are giving further clue by being told what the man is doing. Again, we have been told that the man has lost a lot, all right? Which means he's no longer as rich as he used to be. And he only keeps off appearances by driving a big car. In other words, by driving a big car, he is pretending that he's still as rich as he used to be. All right, so that's the meaning we can figure out from this. So when you look at a sentence, you take all the words into consideration, you contextualize, as we talked about contextualization. All right, so you use also imagery and you combine all the various literary devices. Now, A, intends to work harder. No, that's not the meaning. B, pretends that all is well. Exactly, that's the meaning. When you keep up appearances, you pretend that all is well. C, wants everybody to see him. Certainly not. D, wants to please his people. Certainly not. Now, let's go to question number 24. The game was tough, but our team lost by a whisker. A whisker is the hair or one of the, when you have the beard, or that is the hair of an animal. So a piece of it is a whisker. All right, so that gives you some insight into what this means. So if you lose by a whisker, it has to do with how narrowly you have lost. Now, this means that our team lost by A, default, no. B, a wide margin, no, that's the opposite. C, not preparing well, no. D, a narrow margin, that is exactly the correct option. When you lose by whisker or something happens by a whisker, it means it happens narrowly, all right, by a narrow margin. Question 25. When the result was announced, it was discovered that Bimbo and Pam were neck to neck. If you are neck to neck, if two people are neck to neck, it means that they are unequal. It means they are having the same results. It's difficult to tell who is winning, or so that is what it means to be neck to neck. So this means that Bimbo and Pam A had almost the same result. It's not almost, it's the same. B failed badly, no. C had equal result. That's the correct thing. It means that Bimbo and Pam had equal result. If Bimbo and Pam were neck to neck when the result was announced, it certainly means that these two persons had equal result. D, passed well, that's not really the meaning. Now, question number 26. The old woman's birthday was marked by her children with pomp. When you mark something with pomp, and some people add some other words, some people combine pomp with pageantry, some combine pomp with splendor. Pomp means elaborate celebration, all right? It has to do with ceremony, all right? A lot of ceremony, celebrating something greatly. This means that the birthday was greatly celebrated. That's quite correct. If something was greatly celebrated, it means that it was marked with pomp. B, remembered fondly, no. C, widely advertised, no. D, filmed and played back. That's not correct. Now, question number 27. When the man was accused of stealing the money, nobody raised an eyebrow. Now, when you raise an eyebrow, it means you show some surprise or you exhibit some emotion. All right? So, this means that nobody was sad. Well, emotion, but not that of sadness. B, pleased, no. C, interested, no. D, surprised. That actually is the kind of emotion that is referred to when we say that you raise an eyebrow. You raise an eyebrow, you express some surprise, probably, mild surprise, or showing that something was unexpected. Now, question number 28. All right. Yes, so question number 28. People do not often rely on men who allow their exalted position to go to their head. If something goes to your head, it means you become excessively, you become proud. You have the feeling of being important, maybe because of the success you have achieved or because of the promotion you have been given or something. So people do not rely on men who allow their exalted position to go to their head. This means that people shun those who are highly placed. No, so if somebody may be highly placed and yet, very humble and unassuming, behaving modestly. All right. So B, are considered because of their position. That's the appropriate option, because when you are conceited, it means you are excessively proud. You are arrogant. You feel so important. You are pompous. All right. So that's the actual option. B, are conceited because of their position. C, are rude because of their position. No, the idea of rudeness is not mentioned, is not inferred by that. D, do not do their work. Obviously, that's not the interpretation. Question 29. The manager hit the roof when he was presented with the estimate for the new project. When you hit the roof, it means you explode in anger, in a rage, you become furious, right? So you hit the roof. That's exactly the meaning of hit the roof. Now, this means that the manager A mobilized the workers, certainly not, became very angry. That is quite correct. So option B is the correct option. The manager became very angry. C, became very suspicious. No. D, cancelled the project or so. Something is missing, but certainly it's not about cancelling anything. Now, question 30, which is the last but not the least. When he received the election, I think the actual thing here, this is a typo, is when he failed the election or something like that. All right. Okay. When he received the election news, when he received the news that he had lost the election. All right, so that is the missing thing here. When he received the news that he had lost the election, he did not bat an eyelid. All right. When you bat an eyelid, you are expressing some feeling, especially the feeling of surprise. You are showing that you didn't expect something. All right. So it's something of a surprise. Now, but that he did not bat an eyelid means he didn't show any emotion. He was not moved. This means that he, A, expected to lose the election. That's not the option. B, stood perfectly still. Certainly not. C, was shocked to have lost the election. No. D, showed no feelings. That's the appropriate option. When you do not bat an eyelid, it means you don't show any feeling. You don't show any emotion, whether the emotion of surprise or anything. You are just not bothered by it. You are unruffled. All right. So that is how it has been in today's video. We have been looking at the ABCs of West African Senior School Certificate Examination English, and today we looked at part 3 in our preparation for 2021 West African Senior School Certificate Examination. We specifically looked at the West African Senior School Certificate Examination of 2020, the objective test, and we looked at section 3. All right, you can see that we looked at all the questions in section 3 which are dealing with sentence interpretation. And don't forget we looked at, how to interpret sentence meanings, and we looked at 4 different literary devices, how to use metaphors, imagery or images, symbolism, and contextualization to help us in figuring out the meanings of various idiomatic expressions. I hope you have gained quite a lot from this lesson that will help you to interpret sentences correctly whenever you come across them. If you have enjoyed this video, click on the like button and like the video, and then click on the share button and share the video with your friends and relations. If you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. You will also find a small bell icon with the symbol or image of a bell. Just click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded on this channel, you will receive instant notification. If you have any questions, any concerns, any comments, any commendations, do not hesitate to leave your comments on the comment section below, in the comment section below. If you have any topic you would want me to discuss in subsequent videos, you can mention that topic in that comment section as well. Of course, whenever I get any suggestions from my viewers, I treat it with dispatch. And of course, all of you out there, especially those of you who have asked some questions or made some suggestions, you can agree with me that I have always responded very promptly in doing a video discussing a topic that you suggested. So whenever you suggest a new topic you would want us to treat, I will treat that immediately. And if that topic has already been treated on this channel, I will give you a link that you can simply click on, and that will give you the answer to your question. So I want to thank you for being part of today's episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye for now, and remain blessed.